So in setting up for today's podcast, I realized, wow, this is the only time when I ever make my bed. So it is good and it's also annoying. But anyways, happy Sunday and welcome to the Icebreakers podcast number 5. Today we are going to kind of continue our conversation from last week, which was about names. And so I wanted to know, and I asked kind of at the end of last time's podcast, what do you call yourself in your head? So in my head, I call myself Chinnu, which is what my parents and my Indian community call me. I go by Anne in mostly all my professional settings, but when I talk to myself, I'm like, oh, you can do this, Chinnu, or are you freaking kidding me, Chinnu? You dumb, get it together. And calling yourself whatever you call yourself, I am trying to determine if it's important or not. So let me know what you think, and also by the end of this, if it changes your mind. But I've always heard that, negative self-talk is really bad. One of my old coworkers from my previous job used to always get so mad at me because when I would tell her stories, I would be like, oh yeah, and then I was so dumb and I did this and da-da-da, and I can't believe I'm so stupid and blah, blah. And I would say these things and she'd be like, no, stop saying these things. You can't say these things just in passing about yourself or in your head, because it will negatively impact you. And I would always reply to that and be like, no, you don't understand. This ego, honestly, if anything, needs to be cut down a little bit. And any negativity that I'm putting on myself is honestly probably for the better. But it actually came up again. I was thinking about it a lot this past week because of last week's episode. And this week at work, one of my coworkers, our team was looking for this room, a conference room, and we couldn't find it. And she was about to say something to the effect of oh, we're so down, we can't even find the room or something. And we got to talking and I was like, no, you can say that, because here's the conclusion I've come to. And let me know if you disagree. Basically, when I call myself dumb or an idiot or anything like that, I know deep in my heart and my mind that I am not dumb. My action was dumb, or my reaction was dumb, or XYZ was dumb, but I am not dumb, right? And so I think that's why when my friend at my previous work would always tell me, you have to be really careful about your self-talk, and there's so many articles about negative self-talk and how that impacts you. But I think, yes, so if you do have that kind of negative self-talk, don't do it, obviously. But if you can distinguish between being a dumb person and doing a dumb action, I think that that's the key to it. And honestly, I think, anyways, moving on, because I found this article. I couldn't find any articles about this that were reputable, which is interesting. But anyways, I found this NIH article. Take it or leave it. It's one article, but it really shocked me with its findings. Of course, you would think that they would say positive self-talk improves your outcomes for X, Y, and Z, and negative self-talk, I don't know, maybe I would expect it to say maybe takes a little hit, or maybe expects it to take a large hit. I don't know. But it is insane what this study says. It said self-respect, so positive, may have both positive and negative effects. Why? Due to enhanced executive functions for the positive part and inaccurate confidence for the negative part, respectively, whereas self-criticism, so negative self-talk, may positively affect cognitive performance. Why would negative self-talk positively impact you? It induces a less confident state that increases internal motivation and attention. Is that not the most insane thing you've heard? Because then that would make sense. I operate in a delusional state, I feel half the time, being whatever, it will work out. But this makes sense. When I talk to myself and say oh, you dummy, why'd you do that? Da-da-da-da-da. I know, one, deep down, I'm not a dummy and it was just a dumb action. And then two, could it be, again, this is one study, but could it be that self-criticism is actually making me work harder. I mean, I already know for myself that I try to trick myself all the time, and I try to like double back on myself. I'm forgetting the word. Reverse psychology. I try to reverse psychology times like 3, like cubed to my own self, and try to like scramble my own brain so I don't know which way is up, and so I can trick myself into doing the right thing. But like I do that in terms of like sometimes encouraging myself to do it. So maybe it's all worked out for the best. That was a long way of saying I think I might be, a positive result of this case study. You know what I mean? Anyways, at the end of last week's episode, I also mentioned something about inner monologues, and it's going to be too long for today's episode, so we might have to tackle into next week's episode. But I did a quick surface level search of inner monologue, and interesting fact, apparently it's 30 to 50% of people only have an internal monologue. And I already knew before that like some people like don't have any internal monologue, which is already mind-blowing enough, but I didn't think it could be as low as 30% or even 50%. I would have thought maybe like 70% have inner monologue and 30% don't. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I will do a little bit more research on it if I can get my self together. But next week, hopefully we'll talk about inner monologues, and let me know what you call yourself and if you think that positive or negative self-talk impacts you positively or negatively. Okay, that's it.